I'm a game designer, and I'm trying to make my art look less like this and more like this. So if that sounds interesting, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and let's get straight into it. Alright everyone, welcome back to class. In this lesson, we will be attempting, an emphasis on the attempting, to recreate Gogeta Blue in 3D. Now, I'm pretty excited for this one, but I gotta say, before even starting this one, I already feel like I've bitten off more than I can chew, so this could end up looking pretty bad, but I have faith in myself. So, let's get started on... Step 1. Time to go 3D model hunting. Just like last video, we're going to be getting a model from Sketchfab, and I searched up Gogeta and found a really good model, but sadly it wasn't downloadable. Luckily though, there was a Super Saiyan version of the same model, and it was downloadable. So that does mean we're going to need to do a little bit of editing to the materials to make him actually Super Saiyan Blue and not just regular Super Saiyan, but that should be a piece of cake. Now before we start rigging him, let's get him into Blender and make him actually look Super Saiyan Blue. So we're going to go import and then import as GLTF, that's just what I downloaded the model as, so that's what we're going to use. And wow, he's looking really good. He doesn't have any textures though. Let me see if I can fix that real fast. There's the materials. Yeah, he's looking really cool now. So the next thing I need to do is go into Photoshop and just fiddle around with these textures for a bit, so we get something that looks a bit more Super Saiyan Blue than just regular Super Saiyan. Alright, so as you just saw from that time lapse there, I spent a bit of time going through the materials and editing them to make it actually look like he's Super Saiyan Blue. So we changed the hair here from yellow to blue, then we changed the eyebrow from yellow to blue, and we also changed the eye color from green to blue. And then also lastly, I spent a bunch of time changing like the puffs on his shirt because they were orange for some reason, so I had to go there and change them to yellow because I'm pretty sure his base model is actually yellow. Cool, so I just got the textures in the Blender, and I gotta say, he's looking pretty dang clean. I'm really happy with how that turned out. And with that done, we can finally move on to rigging him. Alright, for the rigging, we're going to be using Mixamo again. We used Mixamo last time, and I did notice that it didn't do a very good job at the hand, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that this time. Alright, we should just be about finished loading, and he's not there. Oh, okay. Let me see if I can fix this, I guess. Alright, I think it's working now, and let's try putting an animation on him. Yeah, that looks good, that looks good. But wait, is his face screwed up? I actually can't see. Let me try putting him in the Blender so we can get a better look. So he's in Blender now, and you can definitely tell his face is really messed up. I don't know what really happened there, but we gotta try and fix that. Also, his hands still don't seem to be great, which sort of sucks. So I think I'm just gonna spend the next like hour or so going through the weight painting and trying to fix him up and make him ready for animating. Okay, I think I finally got the rig to a place that I'm happy with. There's not too much bleeding on much of the weight painting, so it should be fine for what I want to do with it. The neck's a little bit messed up because the vertices aren't joined, but we can't do that until we do the next step, which is adding some blend shapes. Let's get to it. Or I should say shape keys because we're using Blender, but anyway, I've already planned out the 3 shape keys that we're going to need for our model. We just have the basic face, which is the one we have right now. And then we got 2 others. We're going to have a smirk, and then we're also going to have an angry face. I've got 2 reference images that I'm going to go off of, and they're pretty much Gogeta's 2 most iconic like faces that he does. And the angry one's maybe going to be a little bit hard to make, but we'll have to wait and see. So I'm going to get started on these shape keys now, and I will talk to you after the time lapse is done. So before we take a closer look at how the shape keys turned out, I just want to quickly talk about the difference between this model and the Goku model we used in the last video. The Goku model was extremely high fidelity, meaning it was sorta hard to move the vertices around and make a good face, but also the different shapes had very little stretching in the UVs and didn't look very wonky. But with the Gogeta model, it was much more low poly, which sort of meant the opposite was true. The faces were really easy to make, but you will probably see there is some weird stretching with the textures. I don't know what type of model I actually prefer, but I just thought it was interesting and wanted to share. But anyways, here we have the two shape keys. Firstly, we've got the smirk. Now, it's very minimal, but I think that's all it needs to be. In the anime, Gogeta is almost always smirking away, so this face is probably going to be the default for like 90% of the animations, I would say. But then we have the scream. Now, I'm super happy with how this one turned out. I tried making it as exaggerated as possible, so that way we can actually just move the slider up to 50% for some of the animations and still get like a decent shouting face if we ever need it. But this model actually had the eyes as a mesh as well, and not just a texture. So we are able to dilute them, whatever the word is for that. But yeah, and with that, we can finally move on to animating. I feel like this is going to be a struggle. So I've gone ahead and created a storyboard because it helps me really like imagine what the shots are going to be like, and it's nice to have them in a concrete place. So we're going to go through that now. For the first shot, we're going to have the charge up, like him like powering up, and it's like the like iconic Gogeta pose. Like when I think of Gogeta Blue, this is the pose I think of. So we're going to have that shot where he powers up. And then next, we are going to have him fly towards the camera, and then the camera's going to flip to his behind, and it's going to show him flying forward, and the camera's going to do like a 360 around. And then after that shot, we're going to have first punch, then the second punch, and then he's going to do like a power-up punch. I'm sort of imagining it's going to be like in Dragon Ball Legends, the Gogeta there has an attack where like the screen behind him goes like orange and all like powerful and angry and stuff. I'll try and put a clip on screen to actually show what I'm thinking of. But after those punches, there's going to be a shockwave afterwards. And after that, we're going to have like V shot where he crosses his hands together and throws them onto the air, and it's just like surrounded by energy. Big explosion at the end. And then at the end, if we have time, I would like to do his pose where he like grabs his jacket and like puffs it out. Like I'll put a reference on screen in case you can't get it from the picture that I've shown here. So as you can remember at the start of the video, I said making this animation might be a little bit hard, and you can probably see why now. I think I'm overestimating my abilities just a little bit, so if we have to cut some shots here and there, we might have to, but it should be good. Also, you can probably see that there's a lot of fighting in this animation this time, so we're gonna need someone for him to fight, which I don't really know what to do about. Why did the music stop? Oh god, what's about to happen? That's right, I went ahead and made our channel logo into a 3D model. And isn't he just the cutest, man? Oh my god, he's so cute. But unfortunately, his sole role is to get beat up in every video from now on. So he is really cute though, isn't he? But with those shenanigans out of the way, I'm going to start animating now, and I will get back to you once I have something that I think is worth sharing. Alright, so I've now completed 2 out of the 6, 7 animations I think I need. They went pretty well, I like to think. I had to go back, as you probably saw in the time lapse, to do some more weight painting because the wrist wouldn't turn properly. But this is taking a very good amount of time. So I think I'm just gonna lock in, get all these animations done, and I will talk to you next once they're all done, and I think when they're all in Unreal as well.
A few moments later.
Okie dokie guys, it's been about 2 days I think since I said I was going to buckle down and work on these animations, and a few things happened, some cutting, some revelations, so I'm going to quickly go over them while this rough sequence draft plays in the background. So firstly, I actually managed to get the shape keys finally working and animatable in Unreal, meaning we can do things like move the mouth if we ever have dialogue, or go from like a default phase gradually into a screaming phase, which is pretty swag if I say so. But then secondly, I decided to scrap one of the shots in the scene, the one being just like the normal punch that leads into another one. I did actually animate these punches, but they both didn't really look that good, and I also don't think they really added anything to animation as a whole. And I'm starting to think about that for a lot of this animation. I sort of wish I only decided to do the first like power-up shot and then the big energy attack at the end, so I might even end up cutting up some more of the animations, but we'll just have to wait and see. But with that all out of the way, we can finally move on to the fun bit, adding some VFX. First thing we're going to add is the blue outline, and I'm going to nab this straight from the last video and just change it from yellow to blue. This is how we're looking now. After that, we've gone into Photoshop to create 4 frames of the aura animation. I've used the smear tool to make it look more like a Dragon Ball aura. Then we can add the impact frame. I'm using 2 post-processing materials to do this. One to swap the scene to black and white, and the other to flip those colors. Finally, I added a bunch of little effects all into one Niagara system, and this is what the scene's looking like now. Alright, so next up I've gone into Photoshop to make this quick little image. We're going to use this as a panning material inside Unreal to get some really cool effects. Right here we can see how I've used it in the first shot. Okay, we're now just about ready to start work on the big kahuna of the scene, the big energy explosion. But right before we do that, we have to add our little mascot in to get beat up. And so he is in, and I also added 2 little shockwaves just to give the scene a little bit more life, because it's looking just a little bit empty. But with that done, we can finally move on to the big energy attack. So to get the energy aura around him, I've literally just reused the panning material from before and made it blue, and I also used an impact frame to make it seamlessly come into the scene. Now, the next thing we need to do is use, I'm thinking, a Niagara particle system to get like the gold, like, gathering up effect to the big explosion onto our little mascot here. Alright, rings, done. Sphere, done. Little spheres, done. And random lines, done. And with that, our scene's pretty much done. There's actually only one last thing I want to add, which is like a big explosion at the end. But I think I'm going to do that on my own. I'm going to sit down, put it on a YouTube tutorial, and just chug through it. So yeah, the next time we speak, I think, will be when the animation is absolutely finished. And it is done! The final Gogeta animation is finished and ready to show. But before that, I wanted to quickly discuss how this video went and what I've learned and like so on. So compared to the last video, actually doing the animations and getting everything imported into Unreal Engine went super duper smooth. There were very little hiccups, and Unreal only crashed like a few times at most, which was really nice. But man, it probably didn't come across in the video, but I spent a very long time creating all the VFX. I learned a ton though, but it was a little bit too much for one animation. I think I even said at the start of the video that I was sort of underestimating how much time this animation would take, and man, was I right. For the next videos, I think I'll focus more on doing one main shot and put all my effort into making that one shot look good, rather than having like multiple main shots and they only look like 70-80% as good as they should. But speaking about the last video, I want to thank you all so much for the support. Mother heckin' Stylized Station commented on the last video, which is absolutely bonkers to me. I can't believe he watched it. But yeah, if you guys have any ideas on what moments you want me to create next, leave a comment below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and without further ado, here is Gogeta Blue recreated in 3D. I hope you enjoy.